Jin looked through the window of the spaceship. Planet Nexus 7 was beautiful but scary. Blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds made it look like Earth. But Jin knew better. This world had monsters. "Dr. Park, please come to the bridge." The voice on the speaker belonged to Captain Subin. Jin walked quickly through the metal halls of the Horizon Asterisk, Earth's best research ship. He was a scientist who studied alien animals. After 5 years in space, he thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. The bridge was busy with people working at screens. Captain Subin stood tall in the middle, her face serious as she looked at the main screen. "You wanted to see me, Captain?" Jin asked. Subin nodded. "The drone sent back new videos. You need to see this." The screen showed a forest on Nexus 7. Something moved between the trees. Fast, very fast. The camera tried to follow, but could not keep up. "Slow it down," ordered Subin. The video slowed. Now they could see it clearly. The creature was black with a body like a big cat, but with 6 legs and no fur. Its skin looked hard and shiny like metal. Its head had 4 eyes and a mouth full of teeth as sharp as knives. "We call them shade hunters," said Tai, the security officer. He was a big man with strong arms and a worried face. "They hunt in the shadows." Jin watched as the creature jumped on a large animal that looked like a mix between a deer and a bear. The shade hunter killed it in seconds. "That prey animal weighs at least 400 kilograms, said Hyun, who worked in communications. Her eyes were wide. The shade hunter took it down like it was nothing. "There's more," said Subin. She played another video. This time, the drone was flying over a field. 3 shade hunters were standing around something. The drone got closer. In the middle was a broken machine. Another drone. "They destroyed it on purpose," said Jai, the other scientist. "They knew it was watching them." "That's not all," said Subin. "Watch." One of the shade hunters looked up. It saw the drone recording them. Its eyes seemed to understand what it was seeing. Then it jumped, higher than should be possible, and hit the drone. The video stopped. "They're smart," Jin said. "Too smart for animals." "That's why we need you," said Subin. "We're going down to the planet tomorrow. We need to know what these things are and if they're dangerous to humans." Jin laughed a little. "If they're dangerous, Captain, they're the perfect hunters. Strong, fast, smart. Of course they're dangerous." "Then we'll be careful," Subin said. "The landing team will be you, me, Tai, Hyun, and Jai. We stay together. We watch each other's backs." Jin nodded, but felt cold inside. He had studied many alien animals. Some were scary. Some were dangerous. But none had ever made him feel like the shade hunters did. That night, Jin couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about those eyes looking at the camera. Those weren't just animal eyes. There was something more there. Something that understood. Something that was planning. Tomorrow they would land on Nexus 7. Jin wondered if they would all come back. 2 weeks passed on Nexus 7. The team built a small base with strong walls. Every day they went out to study the planet's plants and animals. But they were always careful, always watching for shade hunters. Today, Ji and Hyun went to collect samples from a nearby river. Tai went with them for safety. Jin stayed at the base with Subin to study the samples they already had. "The animals here are strange," Jin said, looking through his microscope. "They all have thick skin or shells, as if they evolved to hide from predators." Subin nodded. "Makes sense with those shade hunters around." Suddenly, the radio crackled. "Base, base." It was Tai, and he was shouting. "We're under attack. Shade hunters. 3 of them. They..." His voice cut off. Subin grabbed her gun. "Let's go." They ran outside. The river was only 10 minutes away. But before they could leave the base, they saw someone running toward them. It was Hyun. She was bleeding from her arm. Jin helped her inside. "What happened? Where are the others?" Hyun was breathing hard. Dead. The shade hunters killed them. They worked together. One drove us toward the others. They planned it. Subin's face went white. Animals don't plan ambushes. These ones did, said Hyun. And that's not all. They took our sample bags. Like they knew what was important to us. Jin cleaned Hyun's wound. It was deep. We need to leave this planet. Now. Subin nodded. I'll call the shuttle. But when she tried to use the radio, there was only static. Something's blocking our signal, she said. Jin looked out the window. What he saw made his blood run cold. 6 shade hunters were standing at the edge of the trees, watching the base. They weren't attacking, just watching. They're studying us, Jin whispered. That night, Jin couldn't sleep. He went to the lab to look at the samples again. Something wasn't right about the shade hunters. No natural animal was that smart. He looked at the shade hunter blood sample they had collected days ago. Then he had an idea. He ran a new test, one they hadn't tried before. Hours later, Subin found him staring at the screen. Jin, did you find something? Jin's eyes were wide. They're not natural animals. The shade hunters were made in a lab. They're weapons. Weapons? Made by who? I don't know. But look at this. Jin showed her the screen. Their DNA has patterns. Perfect patterns. Nature doesn't make perfect patterns. Subin looked worried. So someone made these things. Why? To kill, Jin said simply. To empty a planet of life. Just then, they heard a loud bang. The base shook. Hyun ran into the lab. They're attacking the walls. They're trying to get in. Subin grabbed her gun. We need to hold them off until help comes. Jin looked at his test results again. Wait. There's something else. The shade hunters have a weakness. Their cells break down when exposed to. He stopped, not believing what he was reading. Exposed to what? Subin asked. Jin looked up. Human skin. They're allergic to humans. Allergic to humans. Subin looked at Jin like he was crazy. That makes no sense. Another bang shook the base. The walls wouldn't hold much longer. I know it sounds strange, Jin said, but the test is clear. Something in our skin breaks down their cells. Hyun looked at her hands. So if we touch them, they die. Maybe, Jin said. We need to test it. Subin didn't look happy. How? You want to go pet one of those monsters? A loud crash came from the front door. The shade hunters were breaking in. We don't have a choice, Jin said. He grabbed a small knife and cut his palm. Get some of my blood on a stick or something. We can test it from a distance. Hyun quickly dipped a metal rod in Jin's blood. They moved to the main room just as the front door broke open. A shade hunter jumped inside. It was bigger than the ones they had seen before. Its black skin shined in the light. Its 4 eyes found them instantly. Subin fired her gun. The bullets hit the creature but didn't go through its hard skin. The shade hunter moved toward them, slow and confident. Now, Hyun, Jin shouted. Hyun threw the rod with Jin's blood on it. It hit the shade hunter on the leg. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the creature screamed. It was a high sound that hurt their ears. Where the blood touched its skin, the hard surface began to bubble and melt. The shade hunter backed away, still screaming. It ran out the door. It worked, Jin said, surprised. It actually worked. Subin looked out the broken door. The others are running away too. Jin went back to the lab. I need to understand why this works. This could save us. For the next hour, Jin ran tests while Subin and Hyun fixed the door as best they could. Finally, Jin came out with a smile. I know why they're afraid of us, he said. Human skin has a special mix of bacteria and oils. To the shade hunters, it's like acid. So why make weapons that can be killed by humans? Hyun asked. Jin thought for a moment. Maybe whoever made them didn't know about humans. Or maybe. His eyes got wide. Maybe they made them weak to humans on purpose. A safety switch. Su Bin nodded slowly. A way to control their weapons if they got out of hand. Exactly, Jin said. But we need more than a drop of blood to fight them all. We need. Hyun smiled for the first time in days. A better way to touch them. That night, they made a plan. Their radio still didn't work, but their emergency beacon did. Help would come in 3 days. They just needed to stay alive until then. The door won't hold another attack, Su Bin said. We need to be ready. Jin held up 3 pairs of gloves covered in a special gel. These have human skin cells mixed with a carrier gel. One touch should hurt them badly. So we fight monsters with our bare hands. Han laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Not quite, Jin said. We fight them with slaps. Morning came too soon. Jin looked out the window and felt his heart stop. At least 20 shade hunters stood around the base. This would be their final attack. They're learning, Jin said. They know we can hurt them now. They'll be more careful. Su Bin checked her gun, even though they knew bullets didn't work well. We have the skin gel gloves. We just need to touch them. Hyun looked scared but ready. How do we do this? We need to be smart, Jin said. The shade hunters hunt through fear, but today, we are the hunters. They put on the gloves covered in the skin cell gel. The plan was simple. Stay together, protect each other, and slap any shade hunter that got close. A crash came from the back of the base, then another from the side. They're attacking from all sides. Su Bin shouted, "Circle up." The 3 humans stood back to back in the middle of the main room. Walls broke, windows shattered, shade hunters poured in. The first one jumped at Jin. He was too scared to think. He just swung his hand and slapped the creature across its face. The effect was instant. Where Jin's glove touched, the shade hunter's skin bubbled and melted. It fell to the ground, screaming that high-pitched scream. "It works," Jin shouted. More shade hunters came. Su Bin slapped one across its leg. Hyun hit another on its back. Each time, the human touch burned the creatures like fire. But there were too many. A shade hunter jumped on Hyun from behind. She fell. Hyun. Su Bin ran to help, but 2 more shade hunters blocked her path. Jin looked around desperately. Then he had an idea. He took off his glove and rubbed his bare hand all over his face and arms. Human sweat, oil, and skin cells covered his skin. "Hey," he shouted at the shade hunters. "Look at me." The creatures turned. Jin ran through the broken door, outside. The shade hunters followed. Outside, Jin stopped and turned. The shade hunters circled him. Jin wasn't a fighter. He was a scientist. But now, science was his weapon. As the first shade hunter jumped, Jin didn't run. He stepped forward and slapped it hard across its face with his bare hand. The creature didn't just scream, it exploded. Bits of it flew everywhere. The other shade hunters backed away. "That's right," Jin said. "You should be afraid." The shade hunters ran. All of them. They disappeared into the forest. Jin ran back inside. Su Bin was helping Hyun to her feet. They were both hurt but alive. "What did you do?" Su Bin asked. Jin looked at his hand. Pure human skin contact is stronger than the gel. Much stronger. 3 days later, the rescue ship arrived. They brought soldiers, ready for a fight. But they found no shade hunters. Word had spread among the creatures. Humans were deadly. Just one touch, one slap, could kill. Back on Earth, Jin presented his findings. The galaxy's most perfect predator, a weapon designed to destroy worlds, had a simple weakness: human touch. In all the universe, Jin told the Earth Council, nothing is more dangerous than a human slap. The Council laughed, but they also started the slap force. Humans trained to fight with their bare hands against the most dangerous creatures in space. Jin became their leader. And his first rule was simple: when in doubt, slap it.